Hello and welcome to the Comic-spiracy episode 629 for the week. Well, we're recording a couple days late. This is Thursday, January 30th, 2025. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who else is here?
Brock, sir.
Kevin.
Toby.
Lane.
What is going on, everybody? Besides being sick and tired and sick and tired.
Everybody's sick.
Everyone. I had like the worst case of vertigo, unrelated to DC's vertigo, which I love. This is the vertigo I hate. Toby's been sick all week. Yeah, so Brock, what the hell was going on with you? Were you out Monday?
I had an appointment.
Do something?
Yeah,
you were gone Monday.
Yeah. No, I
Kevin...
wasn't gone Monday. I was gone. I had an appointment on Wednesday.
Well, that's not Monday. I'll tell you, why didn't we record Monday? I had like this I was
fine.
I was sick as hell. Toby was sick. Oh, you were fine. Okay. Kevin was recovering from con.
10-hour flight.
Yeah.
10?
Yeah.
Jeez,
Well,
no.
with the
Come
time
on.
difference.
Okay, sure.
Well, we're here for another episode, and boy, what an episode. 2025 is off to a wonderful start. The day, as always, the day after we recorded. And it's actually good that we've had some time because a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks. What will become one of the biggest news stories of the year has already happened, and that is Diamond Comics Distribution has filed for bankruptcy. Chapter 11, bankruptcy protection to try to get through, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret and not getting through this. So, if you're listening, you've probably heard a lot about this. I'll give you a little backstory on Diamond Comics. Go back to the 1980s, the Wild West of comics in the 1980s. Look, this is back of the napkin kind of timeline here, but comic distribution in the United States was just sort of regional. Books were just shipped out to regional distributors who shipped out to comic stores and newsstands and blah, blah, blah. Diamond started to sign companies as exclusive. And when this happened, this caused a lot of the distribution to go away, because suddenly when you can't distribute Marvel and DC and other big name independent publishers at the time, you lose all your business and you go out of business. And Diamond, by the early 90s, became the only comic distributor in the United States, the only major comic distributor in the United States. Keep that path in mind, right? When you start to sign these companies as exclusive, you kill the competition, and you become the only game in town. Diamond they were looked into at one point as a monopoly, but how I've heard them described is they were considered like a friendly monopoly. It wasn't that no one else could open a distribution. It's just they weren't going to go anywhere if they did, so nobody did. Now, there were small distributors. Technically, anyone can be a comic distributor. It's just you would have done it without every major company. Well, this all goes, as good as any of these things can go until 2020, when listeners to this podcast through the pandemic may remember one of the very first big bad things that happened was suddenly Diamond Comics decided to stop distributing comic books because of the pandemic, which makes sense. But that triggered a thing in their contract with DC, which broke their contract. So they had an exclusive contract with DC Comics to distribute their graphic novels and their comic books. Graphic novels, they could also distribute in other places. But to the comic book industry, Diamond Comics sent every comic to every comic store, just about. That allowed DC to leave Diamond Comics. At the time, absolutely unprecedented move. And if you remember the last couple of years, it started a basic collapse of Diamond as a company, as Marvel and IDW and Dark Horse and Image and Boom all left Marvel, and Marvel all left Diamond. And again, you lose 80 to 90% of your business, much like the way Diamond became a monopoly, the way Diamond signed all these companies to exclusive contracts. You've now lost all those contracts. I don't see any way in which Diamond could have survived. So, them filing for bankruptcy is not surprising in any way. But this marks, a major, major shift in comic books. And we'll get into a lot of the speculation and what could happen here going forward. But it's going to be real bad. It's going to be real bad, folks. Let me just tell you that. Okay. No, Toby, me, you, Brock, we've all worked and had to deal with Diamond on a business level, working at shops and everything. I'm sure everyone listening has heard their comic shop at some point complain about Diamond. For me, they were never terrible. Like anything, there were problems, there were mistakes, and sometimes they were bad mistakes. But, I kind of just dealt with it. Now, having been with Lunar and Penguin for a while, there are different mistakes, but you start to really see just that Diamond, as much as they try to kind of modernize, that there was just some level of lack of professionalism in the way they did anything. Brock, we had to track down shipments, missing boxes.
I had to drive 3 hours to go get a pallet to make sure numerous times. Make sure we had it on time.
Yep. How many things had we reported as we didn't get a box. Our shipments were late.
We would get other stores' boxes. Like every box seemed to have like a damage in it. Like everything was if you got a box from Diamond that didn't have damage or shortage, it was like a fucking miracle had happened. Like it was,
a perfect Diamond shipment was basically like the one in a million. You've won the lottery.
Yeah.
For comic book retailers, there would be like a post in the retailer group of, guys, it happened. We had a perfect Diamond shipment.
Yep.
Go buy a lottery ticket. This doesn't happen. Right. Lunar and Penguin have their mistakes. It does happen, but it is at such a lower level.
I think Lunar, the success that Lunar had coming out of COVID was that they actually cared and paid enough attention to retailers, and they shipped the product. Like Lunar was perfect. Like just everything.
I think we have had more perfect Lunar shipments than ones with problems.
Yes. But they actually listen to retailers and how these boxes are packed and all of this stuff. And you get product that is not, damaged from the warehouse or thrown in and damaged during shipment. With Diamond, you could get a box that literally had 2 comics in it. And it's a giant fucking box. I'm like, most of the Diamond shipments could have been condensed and they weren't. Like it was this shit show of, I do shipping and I'm just like, who the fuck is in these warehouses?
Toby, you did like receiving and ordering and everything. Do you have any particular Diamond horror stories from your time?
Not necessarily. Occasionally some missed books or whatever, but that's kind of normal. So that's human stuff.
Yeah.
Not to go too much into detail, but like my former store owned quite a bit of money, so
owed them quite a bit of money.
Yeah,
we'll bring this up later in the podcast too. Yeah.
So it was different. So, and So I didn't have too many. To me, I'm like, look, it was also quite a few years before. It was like I was the same time as you, but before you took over your store. So it was quite a few years ago when I did it. But yeah, I had the common like occasionally missing books, and so it was never a big deal to me.
Okay.
I never had a crazy one. So
Yeah.
the common stuff is like whatever, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. And I mean, I've I know retailers on every side that love Diamond, that never had problems, that curse their names, every single day.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about the bankruptcy and kind of what's coming up in a minute here. But what a lot of people said, the good parts about Diamond was that they really kind of were almost like the backbone and almost like the credit department for the comic industry. They would let a lot of comic stores go into debt with them and have significant back debt and not current on their bills. And that sounds great, right? That sounds, oh yeah, they're kind of letting the comic stores figure it out. But at the end of the day, that does prevent a lot of problems with payments and profits to upgrade your warehouse and hire better staff. And so there is, it's nice to be nice, but at some point it's got to be a business. For me, it's been it's nothing personal, right? Leaving Diamond, we could have still got pretty much everything that we wanted to, except for DC from Diamond. We would have had to pay more for it. My loyalty does not exist to anything on a business end to pay more for substandard service, right? It's not a personal thing. This is a business decision, and anyone with business sense would go, well, the product I need to purchase, I need to get from this other place because that is now where it comes from. And, it sucks for the people involved at Diamond, but it's the business end is, it's very non-emotional. It's just it's a distributor, right? Like how many, the fact that this is news it shows just how weird the comic industry is. How many industries do customers, do civilians, people not with no involvement in the industry, know who distributes the products that they buy? Like nobody, right? The distribution is this weird thing that happens. It's how stuff gets to stores, but nobody knows what the hell a distributor is, right? You don't go to Target and you're like, oh, the distributor for cornflakes, like, no, nobody gives a fuck, right? But Diamond was this sort of like weird middle partner to the comic industry between the shops and the companies. You have previews, the big catalog.
That was I was going to bring up. They have previews there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think previews was a big part of it. So, Diamond is not a traditional distributor the way it works in most businesses. I mean, Diamond is, I should say is, they're still around. Diamond is a, pretty unique situation. And so that's probably why a lot of people, maybe kind of gave them a pass or weren't, as concerned about all these problems. But we get to 2020 when they stop distributing comic books because of the pandemic. That breaks the contract with DC and all the other publishers, and DC chooses to leave. Now, this was brought up within the first couple of days of Diamond declaring bankruptcy by various people that are very mad about how this has all happened, that this all goes back. If DC had stayed with Diamond, that all this would be fine. Nothing would have happened. Diamond would have been good. The comic industry would have been fine. I have direct knowledge that DC and Marvel were not going to be with Diamond Comics much longer. I can 100% guarantee you, regardless of the pandemic, that they were not going to be there. Once their contracts were up, they were out.
Yeah. Well, from when I came in and started dealing with, working in the comic industry, we had reps that you knew from Diamond. Like there was more of a personal touch that Diamond had when I first started. And I mean, there were still problems and stuff like that, but you had the rep you would call, right? You had a personal relationship with your rep. Like they worked. Who was our rep for the longest time?
And that, well, yeah, and that was a more traditional. The distribution rep was a more traditional method in which distributors and stores would work together. That kind of died with the internet post 2000. Like that was kind of you have your regional rep. I mean, we had a couple reps at the national branch. The regional rep was it's killing me. He actually passed away a number of years back.
Yeah.
I will remember the name through the podcast at some point. That whole model sort of, it does exist still, but it's different. It's, it's not the guy coming to the local shops to show you stuff and bring you stuff. That's kind of like an old fashioned distribution model that I think has been phased out of a lot of companies, right? Because Diamond, like everyone else, it's moved to just like a random dump of, you email into a generic bank of people and someone gets back to you, right?
Yeah.
You're like that.
You're put into a queue, and then they have a customer service rep that helps. Address the issue. So
they do have more senior representatives that will talk to stores kind of on a broader basis that go out and do stuff. But the kind of that regional rep thing is gone. But make no mistakes. Diamond was not going to be around much longer. DC and Marvel were both getting ready to leave. Trust me on this.
Even before the pandemic, like those years leading up to it, like I would say honestly, since about 2016, 2017, like everything at Diamond just got exponentially worse. And worse. And the thing was like it was just this constant, it's damages, garbage, stuff missing. Like it was not like late shipments. Like everything was just always this kind of just, it's meandering through and getting by. But, and like I remember it was like, well, if you're pissed off, you need to call and contact the publisher so the publisher can complain to Diamond because Diamond doesn't listen to us.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, why Marvel and DC were getting ready to leave anyway, right? As I understand, there were significant problems with lost and damaged merchandise, orders not being fulfilled in time. I mean, they were still running on
I blame Diamond for that Hawk and Dove thing.
They were still running on they were still running on Marshall brings it up all the time. Diamond is still running on like some old DOS system until fairly, a couple of years back. Like they were just way out of touch technologically.
Well, it was that one of the things that pushed you to go with Comic Hub was, how are we in, what was it, 2018?
Yeah.
And how is it 2018 and Previews does not have an online ordering subscription service?
Yeah.
Like that stores can utilize. Like, why is this not in existence through, because by then it was like, I know the catalog is dying and all that stuff and everyone's going digital, but it's like they didn't even try.
Yeah. I mean, they did later, but kind of it was probably a little too late. All right.
Yeah.
So all these companies start leaving. Diamond starts hemorrhaging sales, obviously, because of just because they suddenly were losing all their publishers, right? So their exclusive contracts, but they were still selling books, right? Then a couple months ago, we get news that Diamond has lost they're closing down one of their primary distribution warehouses. They have two big ones. They're closing one of them entirely, starting to shift everything over. We now know that Diamond was already in the process of looking to sell, was already having massive financial problems when all this happened. This was, this has nothing to do with them going bankrupt. They were already in this direction. So them losing the warehouse was just one more step to kind of get stuff moved in, to reduce their overhead and cost and employee count. And all of a sudden, everything starts shipping even later, right? So we are now kind of permanently, any book we get from Diamond is a week late. They cannot get us, they just cannot get the books to us in time to process for a Wednesday release. So every shipment we get, if you have something and it's coming from Diamond, we get it 1 week after. That's just how it's been for months now. And obviously, this might all be moot in 6 weeks. We get nothing from Diamond, but as of right now, people coming in, oh, where's my Thundercats? Where's my Grim Fairy Tales? It's like, be here next week, because they are just unable to get us the product in time. So, hearing a Diamond filing for bankruptcy protection, and I got all sorts of numbers here and creditors and notes and all sorts of things. So the estimate, again, I don't know if anything has come out in the last handful of days that have a more accurate number here, but they owe somewhere into the $500 to $100, $50 to $100 million range. There are all sorts of their top creditors that they owe money to, including $9.2 million to Penguin and Random House, $4.4 million to Bandai, $2.5 million to NECA, $1.8 million to Kin Mold, which I'm pretty sure is who makes their supplies. Todd McFarlane for 1.7, Disney 1.7, Hasbro for Cool Mill, $914,000 to Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, Bandai Namco, Simon & Schuster, $500,000 to Lunar, right? So Lunar and Penguin Random House, the reason they're on here is they would then sub-distribute these books, right? So Marvel, Dark Horse, and IDW were exclusive to Penguin Random House as of the last couple of years, but you could still buy their books as a store from Diamond. So what would happen was Penguin would say, okay, stores, you get your wholesale discount. They give that same wholesale discount to Diamond. Diamond is able to purchase the books from Penguin and resell to customers, right? So resell to stores at a lower discount. So they would make their 5 or 10% or whatever it is. Lunar was doing the same thing for Image Comics. So when DC went to Lunar, they said Lunar cannot sub-distribute to Diamond. They cut Diamond out entirely. So you could not get DC products from Diamond. Image, when they went to Lunar, you could. So DC, funny enough, called this shit from the start, right? From day one, they're like, we are out, and no, we are never dealing with Diamond again. So Todd McFarlane is distributing DC products, but this is, they're distributing the toys, but that's through McFarlane, right? Penguin Random House is sending Marvel Comics and Dark Horse Comics and IDW Comics to Diamond, right? So that money is owed to Penguin Random House because they are the distributor. Penguin sends the books and Diamond pays Penguin, right? So, I mean, there's every company you've heard of: Titan, Square Enix, Microsoft, Pokemon Company, Transcontinental, which is a publisher, and I'm going to assume they're the ones that publish previews, or the print previews. Again, $475,000 to UPS. I think I saw USPS in here maybe somewhere. Funko, Dynamic Forces, Udon. So Udon, right? Udon specifically was like, no, Diamond's our only distributor in the United States. Like, we're fucked, right? So you think, well, Funko, $200,000 to Funko, Pokemon, $280,000 to Pokemon. Pfft, that's 1 day sales at a Costco. People are fighting in the road. But where this becomes a problem is I mean, I won't go down the list here because the list is endless. Action Lab, and Albatross and Alien Books. I mean, I don't even have to get out of the A's. Aspen, right? Boom. Just going down, Drawn and Quarterly, Eros,
Xenoscope,
Graffiti Designs, Top Shelf, right? Like every company involved with Diamond
distribution.
Yeah,
Diamond.
not only some of these places may no longer have a place to distribute their product, but Diamond may owe them not insignificant amounts of money. Again, $300,000 to Pokemon companies, nothing. $30,000 to Aspen is like a fuckload of money, right? So, I've got lists here. I got so many things to talk about here as part of this. So of all this, what we've heard, where do we stand now? Diamond's still around. They had borrowed like $30 million or something in loans to 30, 40 million something in order to pay off debts and reconsolidate and do all this stuff. Guys, I'm no bankruptcy lawyer here, but I'm going to tell you, Diamond has no way to make this money back. Diamond's done. There was a report today from Comics Beat, and kind of buried in the list. There's some. Let's see. I get the Black Panel Press, Coffin Comics, and Antarctic Comics are going to have massive problems and cease publication on a bunch of stuff and stop providing Diamond with their books. But buried in the middle of this piece by Heidi was
Heidi McDonald.
Wait, where is it? It's here. So here somewhere. It's here somewhere. It's here somewhere. I had it. It was here. Well, anyway, here we go. Diamond has until April 1st to find a buyer for Diamond Comics, or it could shut down entirely, based on court filings reported in the Baltimore Banner. So there's a ticking clock for Diamond to be around. Their game distributor, Alliance Game Distribution, and Diamond Comics UK, their international distribution arm, are being sold, as far as we know. They have other parts of the company, but I don't see how any of those survive. I don't see how Diamond survives, period. Like, I don't see any way for them to get this money back. So we have all that money being going out. Mad Cave, Vault, Silver Sprocket, those are companies that were distributed both by Lunar and Diamond. They are now exclusive for comic books with Lunar. They have left Diamond. Those other small publishers we talked about. Boom Studios was bought by Penguin Random House, and they are moving much sooner than expected to leave Diamond entirely and go to Penguin. They're going to be there by April. It was supposed to be like summertime, but they're wrapping that up. So Diamond is already, losing every major publisher. Distillery, Cinescope's big enough, and Dynamite are the two that so far have not made any large commitment to leave Diamond, but who knows?
Could be something with their contract.
I don't know. Yeah, we don't know, right? We don't know. Then the news comes from Penguin Random House, right, to IDW. So this came out on Bleeding Cool. Diamond's bankruptcy leaves substantial doubt for the future of IDW Comics, because the money Diamond owes to Penguin Random House, Penguin's not going to eat that. Penguin says, okay, Diamond owes us, let's say $150,000 for IDW products. Guess what, IDW? We're not going to pay you $150,000. I don't know what the number is. I'm just making this number up. But let's say it's $1 million. What they own, like $9.5 million? Let's say it's $1 million. Let's say Diamond owes Penguin Random House $1 million for IDW product. Penguin has told IDW, we're not paying you. We're going to take that $1 million out of products that you sell. through us. We're not eating this. So Diamond owes us. Well, we're taking it out of you. That's going to kill IDW. Dark Horse is already in the middle of a Embracer Group unmerging, where Dark Horse is going to become part of the Middle Earth and Friends Corporation. Do you guys know this? Have you heard this?
No.
Does anyone know this? So the people that own Dark Horse, they own like the Lord of the Rings, and they own some video game companies. They own like all this random shit, right? This company just bought up all these companies, and guess what? They fucking all suck. So they're all collapsing now. They're breaking up into a bunch of these like smaller companies, and for some reason, the Dark Horse is going with the Lord of the Rings group, and it's called something weird, like Middle Earth and Friends. The other's like Coffee Stain and Friends is getting like the video game shit. It's really weird. It's a really bizarre situation. Look up the Embracer Group. They suck. So, and this could be, I don't know, $6-7 million to Marvel and Disney that Penguin's just gonna fucking cut. Right. And to go like, sorry, Marvel, we're not gonna pay you. Right. Sorry, Dark Horse. No, we're good. I mean, they owe you, we sold to them, but no, we're just going to take it out of your pay. I don't know. I guess they can do that. I don't know how any of this works. But yeah, this is let's see. This is from a note from IDW. It says PRH has informally indicated to IDW that their understanding of the relevant terms of the contracts between IDW and Penguin Random House provides that the significant majority of uncollected amounts will be debited by Penguin Random House from future payments from Penguin Random House to IDW. Although IDW has not received any formal written communication or definitive claim from Penguin Random House. IDW is fucked if this happens. Dark Horse is probably a little bit less fucked, but not great. I don't want to say Marvel can't eat it because it's Disney. Of course they can eat it, but that's not great for the regular employees and anyone at Disney that's sitting there going, so this print comic book thing, it's over, right? Like, we can just stop this now. We don't have to do this anymore, right?
Well, technically, Dark Horse is doubled for Disney because they have the Star Wars like kids stuff.
Yeah, but that's licensed out, right? I mean, Disney just gets paid, right, from Dark Horse for that stuff. So that could go into Disney not getting money for. I mean, it could, right? No, you're right. They could. It's not directly a profit for Disney based on the sales, but they license it to them, so they pay back into Disney for it.
Well, and they like with IDW, the news dropped with like The Hunger in the Dusk, where they're not going to even finish the last 3 issues singly. They're going to just do it in a trade.
Yep. Vault
which is
announced,
annoying as all fuck.
Vault announced multiple books have been canceled and will get released as a one graphic novel after putting out single issues. All of these companies are going to start having some significant problems. And so what happens here, right? So now all of a sudden, comic shops, we didn't even talk about that, right? Diamond's going to start collecting any debt it's owed. Any comic shop that owes Diamond's like, you got to pay up, right? You could see multiple comic shops closing, filing for bankruptcy, going out of business because now they can't pay any owed money to Diamond if they were far back, if they were on a back payment, if they were on a payment plan, if they owed them a ton of money. Suddenly, all these small publishers are going to start losing out. They don't have a place to sell their products. They're getting backlogged with stuff that they had sent out to printers 6 months ago, right? Smaller shops that don't really need Lunar or Penguin suddenly can't get their comics. So start cutting 10, 20, 30% off any print runs from many of these comic shops, these smaller stores that ordered a couple copies here and there. So that hurts Marvel. That hurts DC. That hurts Image, right? All those stores start to go under. It's really bad. And I don't know how this comes out the other end. It doesn't really, us, comics conspiracy, that doesn't really affect too much, right? But the joke and the line for the comic industry is death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? This is just a few more books that we can't get, which is a few more dollars we can't make, which is a few more customers that their books aren't coming out anymore. So maybe they stop coming and they stop buying other stuff. It's just, the vast majority of what we get comes from Penguin, Lunar, or some of the other distributors. We get a lot from Diamond, but not that much. There's not a lot that we get from them that we can't get from other places. It's just I have to kind of shift around a few things, but it's like the ripple effect here is already significant, and I think it's going to get significantly worse. You can't put the comic industry out of business. You can always make a comic and throw it together. Marvel and DC should be fairly unaffected, right? Diamond owes Image. They owe Lunar, which means they own Image. They owe Image $500,000. You think how many people Image you think are going to be hurt from that? That's all self-published money, right? Image takes their cut, but the majority of that goes to the creators directly. If they're not getting that money, that could put multiple Image titles and multiple Image creators in real bad situations. And for all the other companies, sorry, Blue Wave, you're not. No one's going to distribute your stuff. Sorry. Man, Gold Key just tried to make a comeback. They tried to make a comeback through Diamond. Not happening. Sorry, Gold Key. Heavy Metal. Well, they're on Kickstarter, so they moved over. So.
Quick listener question.
What about Joe Quesada's new?
It's not going to be through Diamond.
So, Ryan, people who see these articles online on comics news sites and go like, why should I care about this? So if they don't read like an IDW book or a Wave Blue World or whatever, is there something that this would be on their radar because it has some larger effect on them, or it's strictly what you've described?
No, I think what you'll see is a significant reduction in distributed independent comics, right? If you're Marvel, if you're an X-Men person, this probably will not affect you at all, right? Except your comic shop might go out of business if you buy from a comic shop. Could, right? Could. It's gonna, comic shops get from a lot of vendors. People work with multiple companies, so it's going to start. Some stuff will go away immediately. Some companies will go away immediately. Some companies will be fine and not affected at all. Like DC, this doesn't affect DC at all, right? Like zero. Distribution for McFarlane figures. Maybe that's it, right? Like some licensed stuff, but that's all goes other places. So yeah, some companies will not be affected at all. Some will be affected greatly, and some various levels. Yeah, if you're a Superman guy, probably won't matter to you, but it's just one more thing. Well, it's just one more peg out of the wildly unstable comic book industry. It's one less leg to stand on.
Well, I think it leads more into the sub-distribution. So if your store was a store that was quote-unquote loyal to Diamond and was still getting Marvel product from Diamond, that's probably where you're going to have maybe an issue.
Yeah, because of last week, DC and Image you could no longer get from Diamond. You couldn't get DC, but you also could not get Image. Now you cannot get Vault, Mad Cave, and Silver Sprocket, and there will be more companies soon, right? The problem with Lunar is not big enough to suddenly take on 200 new publishers. Penguin doesn't fucking want them, right? And that's the real...
Oh, hold on. We don't want Penguin to have them, because imagine how many invoices you would fucking have.
It's not that, right? The reality is Diamond was propping up a lot of companies that sold very few comics, right? Mm-hmm. The back half of Diamond has been a barren fucking wasteland for like 2 decades. Now, I'm not saying Lulu is a Rhinoceros LLC shouldn't exist. But what I'm saying is they're not. I have no what I'm just picking on this company because it's a random one that I pulled up on my list. They're just not going to get picked up by, I don't know, there's some kids' books. Maybe they're fine. I have no idea. Maybe they go through maybe they go through book publishers.
They'll go through Scholastic.
Yeah, sure. No, Scholastic is its own thing. All right, but what I mean is they're not, they're not going to pick up these tiny microprint indie comics that sell hundreds of copies, right? And that hurts the greater comic book industry from having less product on the shelf to sell, less money for stores to get revenue from, less creators being found out about. So, yeah, it's.
I mean, if the store is constantly monitoring and trimming and maintaining its inventory as you're going, you should be okay, because a lot of times you don't stock. Like we don't stock at the store like what 80% of previews catalogs.
Oh right, yeah. Most of the back of that stuff I don't stock shelf copies of, but we do get orders and subscriptions, right?
Yeah, you'll get orders and subscriptions for a handful of those books.
3 or 4 customers that are going to be pretty significantly impacted in their orders, and no store can lose 3 or 4 good Wednesday customers, right? But we're gonna. I mean, maybe we won't, but their spending is gonna drop significantly. That's less money for the store. That's less money to spend on other products. It is the domino effect, and
Diamond was our house of cards.
I mean, yeah, well, right. I mean, you can sort of blame Diamond that had they rectified a lot of these problems years ago and got rid of a lot of their inventory and a lot of the mistakes, and had a better backing to get the indie and small press stuff in the stores. And there's a lot of stuff that they could have done. I don't blame them for wanting to have, interesting and unique products to sell, but there's got to be a different way to do it that benefited them to stay stable, to benefit the rest of the industry. Them falling apart hurts a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's that whole quote unquote friendly monopoly. It's understandable if Diamond was working and trying to be a company that was providing a service and doing what originally there was an intent to do, but it became too big for its own britches and just want more, and the gluttony was just
Diamond. No.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that. I mean, I don't think that's that's not like they were like a profit, some crazy profitable thing. It's not that. I really think the people at Diamond were like, yes, we're the distributor for comics. We'll kind of do anything, right? We'll take everything. But if it's not run correctly, you start running into debt. You're not supporting your biggest partners. There's a lot of little things that can lead to.
Well, that's the monopoly, man.
Right.
Like that's the leadership that you're under at Diamond. Like the people at Diamond that working in the warehouses and doing all that stuff, those people are doing a job. They're doing a service. They're trying to do it. It's the monopoly man that's attached to the monopoly that's the problem.
Well, right. I'm not mad. I don't think Steve Geppi, who's the owner of Diamond Comics, I don't think this was like a greed thing. I think this was legitimately like he loves comics and wants to see comics succeed, but the model just didn't work for the world we now are. It's not the 1980s anymore where any schmuck can make some indie Turtles ripoff that sells 100,000 copies and
Space Beaver.
Right. This is not the world we live in anymore. The costs are incredible. There was a lot of fine tuning Diamond never did with their own business. And by extending and extending and extending, when they go away, when that rug gets pulled, suddenly you have a lot of people who were relying on Diamond and Diamond alone, who now have nowhere to distribute their books. Or if you're a store that's like, it's Diamond, we'll pay them whatever. Well, you don't have that anymore. So it's, like I said, it's just a lot of that cut, and eventually a lot of people are going to be bleeding out at the end of this, because I don't see any possible way for Diamond to continue at the level that they have been. If Diamond dumps all their toys, dumps all their merch, and becomes like a independent fulfillment distributor for like the indie and small press stuff, I could maybe see that. But that is
they couldn't even get the subscription service to run properly.
But that's what I mean. You'd have to scrap all that, right? If they want to be a comic distributor, they would be a 10-person team with no stock distributing for the small press companies. This is not Diamond Comics, a 1,000 employee plus multiple massive warehouse, millionaire owned giant corporation, right? I mean, there's ways to be a comic distributor, but it's not Diamond. So it would be a completely new thing that would be
our comeback will be bigger than our setback.
That I definitely saw that. Definitely saw that referenced a handful of times. No coming back from this. I'm sorry, guys.
There's no chance you'd think of Penguin Random House, Lunar, I don't know if there's a third or a fourth, whatever, of picking up indies?
No, everything I've heard,
significant ones.
Everything I've heard, right? Penguin does not want them. See, here's the dirty secret. When Penguin, I mentioned this on the podcast. I mentioned this when all this stuff happened. When Penguin got Marvel and then IDW and Dark Horse, I said from minute one, that's really weird. Penguin is a book distributor. They probably want the graphic novels. They don't want the singles. The single issues are a pain, a weird relic of a forgotten era, an old style.
Hey, thanks for calling us old, asshole.
Yeah, an old style that doesn't fit in with Penguin Random House, the book distributor that's gorging itself on the post-COVID manga boom and wants to get in on that American action. Oh, what's happened over the last couple of years is a lot of that stuff has slipped, right? Single issue sales are, down. Everything's down. But like, I am really wondering what anyone at Penguin's single issue distribution looks like in a couple of years, because I really think Penguin doesn't want to do it. I really, really think Penguin's like, nah, we'll take the trades, but Marvel, those singles, they're a waste. Kill them.
They acquired Boom,
right? Because so Penguin, they've acquired Little Golden Books. They're buying up all these places. Books. Penguin wants Something is Killing the Children when the TV show hits. The graphic novels. They don't want the comics. I am telling you, if they could stop publishing and putting out single issues tomorrow, they would. And this, God, the Diamond thing just gives me a fear that this is another push in that direction. Lunar just can't grow fast enough, right? They're only so big. And they probably look at a lot of the stuff at Lunar and they're like, we'll take Distillery, because Distillery was with Lunar, and then they signed exclusive with Diamond. I'm sure they take Dynamite. I'm sure they take Zenoscope, and they're like, nah, fuck off, the rest of you. No. And again, right, like it's like the way when I get one order for a weird, deep in the catalog indie book, I'm not going to order any for the shelf, right? A lot of these comics are like, well, okay, it's like 500 copies. This isn't worth carrying as a distributor, right? So it's not good for the people, but a lot of these companies shouldn't be around anyway, right? And that's less stuff. They just don't sell enough to justify countrywide distribution. So that's more stuff that's going to be on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and direct to customers, and less people seeing them. Nothing in bookstores.
Well, here's a question for you then. Along those lines, if you're saying, the numbers aren't there for comic issues, I would think that we would see it first, because also, don't forget, they publish magazines. How are magazines doing in comparison?
Oh, horrible.
Exactly.
Horrible.
So why aren't we seeing those disappearing first?
They are. Where the fuck do you see magazines? There's no magazines anymore.
I still see them. But I'm just saying. Stores. Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if they're going to dump comics, they're going to dump magazines first, I would think.
They already have dumped magazines.
No, like,
the magazines that are they have. All the stuff you see on a magazine rack are these perennial, like, they're like little books. They're not magazines.
Well, at airports you still have magazines.
Yeah, a couple,
right? But they're still publishing them, and so that's what I'm saying. Like,
still
the comics are the same way. Like, they're going to be the same. Like, there's still small quantities, but they're still going to publish because it still makes money.
I think a lot of comic books sell more than a lot of magazines.
Right. So that if they're still making magazines, I think they're going to still make comics. I think the moment the magazine cease, sure, then comics are in trouble.
No. Magazines don't exist anymore. They just don't. Right? They're in specialty shops. They're in airports and specialty shops. They sell a fraction of what they used to. Right? There are. So what you see is, independent comics and independent magazines exist. People can publish wherever they want. You can print 1,000 copies and be fine. I get a independent Nintendo magazine, right? But there is no distribution for these. That's the difference. You're not seeing Time and People and racks of that type of stuff anymore. They don't exist in that fashion. What if you go into a Newsweek and Entertainment Weekly and all that, all the magazines and Mad and Cracked and all Guitar Weekly, what was the big guitar one, and Hot Rod Mags and all that stuff, that's just all gone, right? All gone.
Still at the grocery store. There's still an aisle at the grocery store.
Go look. Next time you're at the grocery store, go tell me what's there. What they are. Everything in those magazine sections now are these like glossy photo books that are like about a perennial subject. There'll be like an Obama one and a Trump one and a Star Wars 45th anniversary. They're not a magazine. They're not a weekly or monthly magazine publication.
They still have Time.
They do. Yeah. There are still some around.
New Yorker.
But the vast majority of that stuff is not a traditional magazine the way they were. Go look. I'm telling you. Go look next time you're in a supermarket. The vast majority of that stuff is not the way magazines used to be. They're not a monthly or weekly publication.
Right, but that's not the question. The question is the fact that they're still published. It's not about that they changed. They changed to adapt to make it worth their while to stay around. But I'm saying that they're still staying around, so I don't see that. I'm trying to figure out the argument of why do you expect comics to disappear suddenly when magazines are still around.
I'm not saying comics are going to disappear. No, that's not what I said. they're still going to be around. The comics are a specialty market product, so that's what they sell. They sell to the specialty market. Penguin Random House is a international public distributing, so like the big chains, big bookstores to Amazon. They've now purchasing companies because they want to control the book market. They tried to buy Penguin tried to buy Ingram. Was it Ingram? Who the hell did they try to buy? Simon & Schuster, right? So Penguin distributes books. Comic books are a very different thing. They don't sell enough. They're weird and small, and Penguin had to change a lot of stuff in order to distribute comics correctly. I personally think if they could stop distributing single issues tomorrow, they would, because that's not their model.
Right, but what I'm saying is
not what they distribute.
Penguin Random House, I'm looking this up right now, also publishes New Yorker, Eve, Novel, all these magazines is what I'm saying.
They publish them?
Well, they're distributing them.
Yeah, they might distribute some stuff. I don't know. I don't know what they distribute as far as magazines, but they are a book distributor first and foremost. I just don't think there's any. They don't want the single issues. They're not going to take any comic company that's single issue focused.
They just bought Boom
for the graphic fucking novels. I'm going mad here? Boom.
What else are they going to put out? If Something is Killing the Children is a popular series, they're going to keep pumping out single issues for it. They're not just going to...
Boom doesn't sell shit for single issues anymore. Okay, Boom...
The thing is, it's an established brand in the market. They're buying it to get a placeholder in.
No, they already have them. They already have holders. They already publish a ton of comics. They already distribute a ton of comic stuff. They are the exclusive distributor for Marvel, Dark Horse, and IDW. And now they own Boom, right? No, they're books, right? So that's what I mean. Penguin's trying to buy into the IP. They're trying to buy into the companies. They have bought lots of little publishers and lots of little companies. So Penguin is not just a distributor anymore. They are a content creator now. So, yeah, they will, as long as comics sell, they'll keep doing them. I'm not saying they're going to stop tomorrow. I said if they could stop tomorrow, I think they would. And Diamond...
I think it's more along the lines of if it stops being profitable, they'll stop tomorrow.
Correct.
It's not a could if they would, it's a profitability thing.
Well, but that's the same thing. I'm going to fucking murder everyone on this podcast, except for Kevin and Toby, because they haven't said anything.
Well, also a magazine is a collection of articles and stories and photos. So all the things you were saying where they're doing gardening and this stuff, that's all a magazine is. Like every single thing that's on that rack is a fucking magazine. Like that's what a magazine is. It's a collection of articles, photos, whatever, gardening, guns, all that stuff. So when you're saying all these little things that are this, that's what a magazine is.
I'm going to move on to other topics here. I don't want to discuss the.
No, Toby, let Toby talk.
I don't want to stay on magazines. I just want to give a shout out to Slam Magazine, my favorite magazine of all time. I like all the articles by Stu Jackson, and I fucking loved reading them. And that's it. I miss
Ryan. Nice. Ryan, before we move on to a cheerier topic that you have lined up next, the things you're talking about of those magazines at a grocery store, those are like the big thick. They're like $10, $12, and they're perennial in that it will have a date like removed from store shelf, but that date will be like 6 months down the line. It's meant to just sit and sell like a graphic novel you'd have at the front counter. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. When I say magazine, I'm like the magazine stand of weekly magazines does not really exist anymore. There are magazine-shaped books out there, but they are a different product than what you would traditionally think of a magazine. If you went into a comic store and it was all graphic novels, would you say those are single-issue comic books on the shelf? No, you'd say they're graphic novels. They look the same. They kind of are giving you some of the same thing. They're a technical different product, right? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying comics are going away tomorrow. What I said was Diamond going away and all these problems would cause a company like Penguin Random House to look at single issues and go, we are trying to reposition the comic industry to our preferred format of the graphic novel, the book format. These single issues are dying off, and Diamond going away is a reduction of single issues into the market. The graphic novel market is not shrinking. The single issue market is shrinking with Diamond going away. That's my argument. It's all really bad. It's all really, really bad.
Bring back Slam magazine. Bring back Slam magazine. I'll subscribe. I miss it. I miss Slam magazine.
Switch power.
Wait, have they? Well, I guess maybe this is too new, but
Wizard. Bring Wizard back.
I'd be down for like old school Wizard. Like the newer Wizard, I don't like, but the old school Wizard, I'd be down for it. And I haven't seen a real Slam magazine, and like I see the compilation and the specials that Ryan is mentioning. I haven't seen a real Slam magazine in ages.
I've seen tons of regular magazines besides these things that Ryan's talking about. But what I wanted to ask is, because this is brand new, I don't know if anybody's considered this yet. But not to talk politics, but it was announced last night that he signed an executive order pushing the tariffs that we all talked about. So have they started thinking about how that's going to affect the comic publishers?
No. That all will take months or possibly years to roll out. Nobody knows anything yet.
Okay.
There's nothing is official. So, I mean, the comic companies know, right? The publishers, the printers know. They're obviously...
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they prepared for it, kind of knowing that this was probably likely to happen. And, like, are there things already in motion to kind of protect the industry from anything happening?
I'm sure there are, but we've not heard anything public from the comic companies. No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. But yeah, of course.
They will not hold the line at $3.99. $4.99 will be the standard.
There's an extremely limited number of domestic printers, and the vast majority of comic books, board games, card games,
the paper,
video games, action figures, all nerd culture stuff. It's all Canada and Asia. So,
yep,
they're not made here.
They're assembled here.
Maybe. But mostly no. They're shipped here. So we don't know. Yeah. That's just one more thing. Then when that hits, that's just not $8 comics. That's $40 graphic novels, right? That affects everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Even on top.
We've already that's already been happening with like Dark Horse and a couple of the smaller publishers where like their graphic novel would normally be like $17.99 is now like $29.99.
Yeah, but if it's $5 issues, if they're $4.99 a piece, that's 4-6 issues. A $5 6-issue miniseries is $29.99 graphic novel. That's just when comics are $8 a piece, then that's when you get the $40.
If they're $8 a piece, do they count as magazines?
If they're square bound and glossy, and they're a little bit bigger.
All right.
Yeah. Distillery.
All my black labels are magazines.
Distillery publishes magazines.
Magazines.
Distillery and Black Label.
I have to put it in a magazine bag and board.
Magazine-sized comic books. Some of these exist. Yeah. So this is right. This is this. Well, let's get technical here, right? I mean, right. Mad Magazine became Mad Magazine to skirt the Comics Code Authority, right? Vampirella, stuff like that. You had a lot of magazines that were, they are technically a magazine, right? I would not consider the magazine-sized Black Label and Distillery magazines because they are not a magazine has a different connotation than a magazine-sized comic book. So,
by the way, quick side note: how do those Distillery books sell for you?
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I've liked everything I've read. I just didn't know if I haven't read all of them, but I didn't know if the size scared people off.
Maybe some, but not really. I don't know that they would sell any different if they were normal comic sized. Yeah, who knows?
Are there a lot of translations for the collected versions of Distillery books?
I have no idea.
I mean, like, are they selling as well as the singles?
Well, they do that weird, like, special limited edition for $75. At the same time they do the thing. It's like, okay.
I mean, I would say the average collection, we are very much a single issue store. So, yeah, if I'm selling, we sold a couple copies of all the trades and double digits on most of the comics. And that about lines up with, what we do for most companies. So, yeah. Who knows? Who knows what Distillery is going to do? I got to figure something out.
Yeah, because White Boat 3 hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, and they're creator-owned stuff, so that's all on the creators.
What's happened to Titan?
They're going to take time. Titan's a funny one, right? So Titan and Archie, their graphic novels are distributed by Penguin, but their single issues are distributed by Diamond. So as of right now, no change.
Okay.
Titan and Archie single issues still come from Diamond, and those are company, right? Again, if Lunar had the bandwidth, and maybe Penguin, if Penguin would take Archie and Titan, maybe they would, because they already distribute their graphic novels. So that's something that's going to shift. I could see them moving over. But yeah, what does Diamond? I mean, Penguin distributes a lot of manga. I think it's just Titan and Archie that they have the trades for, and DC, right? Penguin distributes DC graphic novels as well. So
after Initial, right?
No, they don't distribute. No, Penguin Random House is the book distributor for for DC Comics, but that's also opened up to comic stores. We can order graphic novels from Diamond, from Penguin for DC books. Yeah, that's Diamond. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. It's crazy.
All right, on to Sunnier Skies.
Yeah. Well, I got a really bad topic if we want to talk about that for a few minutes.
What are you picking?
That's what I meant.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've mentioned it briefly in the past. More has happened. Boy, my wall of Sandman comics, my closet of Sandman t-shirts, I kind of just keep pushing to the back. And I'm like, let's a little bit of time. Let's give it a little bit of time.
Isn't that like majority of your wardrobe?
What's that?
That's like majority of your wardrobe.
It is quite a bit of it. Yeah. We have talked at a little bit about the accusations against Neil Gaiman in the last number of months. It's come up a couple times, but it was still kind of like, I don't know. It made the news. It made the rounds, obviously. It made the comic rounds. But I don't know that a lot of people really had a real firm grasp on exactly the situation, exactly what was going on. Well, that's all become quite a bit more clear, unfortunately, in the last few weeks. And I believe you would say the word Neil Gaiman has now been canceled is I believe the word that you would throw around prior to January 20th. Now nobody gets canceled. Now he'll be raised to the highest seat in government. But yeah, back when we were woke, now that woke's been canceled, it's fine. But pre-woke or pre-woke being canceled. Neil Gaiman has been multiple more women have come out and accusing him of some pretty extreme sexual.
Did anybody read the article?
I read the first couple paragraphs and I was like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to read more.
Well, everybody should also read his response to the article.
Yeah, so we knew that there were these podcasts that a couple women had come out and said they had accused him of sexual. I don't say sexual harassment. That's not quite the right word. I mean rape. But, and extreme sexual favors for living with him and taking care of his kids and all this crap and significantly more has come out. You can read all the not great parts. He did for the first time speak publicly on his. He resurrected his blog to post. Yeah, I didn't do any of that. Yep. Maybe not the best response. I don't know. Not a great read. Just sort of like everything was consensual when it clearly does not seem that way based on what was the article? Was it
Vulture?
Yeah, it was Vulture, right? Yeah. Big expose.
Well,
on Neil Gaiman.
The funny part is it dropped, and then they instantaneously put it behind a paywall.
Did it?
Because I think
a
lot of the websites do like you get one free article a month and stuff like that.
Oh,
and I don't go to the Vulture, and so when I went to go look at the article and read the article, it was like, nope, you've reached your limit, and I'm like, I haven't been on the Vulture at all this month.
I don't know.
And then just through the grapevine and stuff like through the internet sleuthing and stuff. People literally were like, yep, the second they dropped, they like virtually instantaneously put it behind a paywall because the traffic was increasing so much that they were like, oh no, let's try and cash in. So I found it on a grab website.
Yeah, just go to Vulture and read it. You can find it's fine. Go to 12-Foot Ladder and you can read it. This ways around paywalls, not that hard. Yeah,
it's
so real bad,
damning.
Real bad. A lot of big Neil Gaiman.
I read
fans
the whole thing
on this podcast.
The key question here, really, that the listeners want to know. Everything else aside, Ryan, on the scale of trauma for you, Neil Gaiman in this position ranks worse or not as bad or equal to Jeff Johns in this position?
Oh, see, John's got that weird. Do you remember when people were like, "Oh, he's a racist"?
Yeah.
Do you remember this? That kind of not. Then I don't. It seemed like nobody really took that for anything. This seems kind of a weird.
It was about the Justice League movie, right?
Yeah,
the cyborg actor.
Yeah, but that guy kind of, I think, catapulted any what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know.
I think if Ray Fisher didn't shout out of his lungs, he may have been taken even more seriously.
Yeah, it just seemed like he kind of lost all credibility. Yeah. I don't know. I follow like the Hollywood end of comics, like that side of it, like zero. Actors are weird people. So yeah, I mean it's horrible, right? What I said on Blue Sky, Sandman is obviously a big part of this. To some people it's Coraline, to some people it's Good Omens. There's all sorts of ways people are have been into Neil Gaiman's work in the past. It's not like he's like J.K. Rowling's like Harry Potter and that's it, right? Gaiman's done so many different things. Obviously, Sandman is I think all of our kind of big interest. What I said was, my hope is going forward, whatever, right? If he doesn't work again in comics, if he doesn't get any new work, what are you going to do? But I feel bad and I hope DC doesn't just kill this stuff, right? Not because of him, but because of Dave McKeon and Mike Drindenberg and Sam Keith and Jill Thompson and Charles Vess and Mike Carey for Lucifer and G. Willow Wilson and James Tynion and Bill Guisevely and Cy Spurrier and anyone working on the current stuff in the Sandman universe, right? Like and on the TV shows, the movies, right? Like Sandman season, it's done. Sandman season 2's it, right? Netflix will just drop it, and that'll be the end of it, right? Does anyone think they make a big deal about it? Does anyone think there's a season 3?
That's a shame. Like
Kevin, we're just fucking cursed.
No, I know.
Like it happened, and
savor this 2 seasons you got.
Yeah.
Or haven't.
Maybe they could.
Maybe they may not. They might not. They may. Maybe does Netflix just scrap it?
They could.
No, they sit on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say they would sit on it longer rather than scrap it.
I mean, they could do it like that Whedon show that was on HBO Max, where his name just got scrubbed from the show, like where they just don't mention him anymore.
Yeah.
Though they did not renew that show either. So
right. Other fallout from this, again, affecting other creators, affecting fans, right? Because when something like Diamond, when something goes down, it's not just them; it takes all the shit around them with them as well. Good Omens is being wrapped up with a special movie instead of a whole new season. So Good Omens is getting like a little special and then done. Right, that's over. The Coraline stage play has been axed. The final issue of the Anansi Boys and comic adaptation by Dark Horse has been canceled. And again, he had nothing to do with that at all, right? I mean, it's just based on his book, and he approves it, but it's like not like he wrote it, he didn't write it, he didn't draw it, he really had nothing to do with it. Graphic novel's canceled, so congratulations to everyone that bought issues. Well, like 1 through 7, you don't get number 8, or whatever. 1 through 6, you don't get 7, or whatever the last is. So that sucks for all those fans who are now sitting on an incomplete story. There was Kevin. It's not just the Sandman show. Marvel DC has been dead silent. No comment from DC. Dark Horse dropped Gaiman entirely, so they said they will no longer be publishing any future works. That could also that affects everyone. P. Craig Russell and everyone that adapted all of Neil Gaiman's other works. Those graphic novels could fall out of print. There was like 2 other things. Well, there was Marvel. We'll get to them in a second. But Good Omens. The Good Omens Kickstarter that was there was a graphic novel version of the book by Colleen Doran and Neil Gaiman. They have taken Gaiman's name off the book. He has removed himself from the project entirely, so people are receiving no money. And so the book will now be 100% for Colleen Doran and for Terry Pratchett's estate. So at least that project is going to be completed with his name removed, and everything goes to Terry Pratchett and Colleen Doran, which is great. Again, I understand if you cancel and you don't want to buy the book, you don't want to support the book, blah, 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 but nothing is going to Neil Gaiman in that case. I wish Dark Horse had done a similar thing with the Nazi Boys to at least publish the final issue. Just be like, look, we're going to do this, and then it's out. Then you don't have to have a graphic novel, but for the people that have bought the rest, for the people in the play, that sucks. People in Good Omen, that sucks. For everyone involved in the Sandman show, that sucks. It's Netflix, though. You weren't getting another season. You're lucky you got 2. I'm just saying, Netflix blows ass too. Marvel came out and said they have no future plans with Neil Gaiman, which means, once again, Miracle Man, dead. We are not going to see the completion of Miracle Man.
It's got to go back on the New Year's poll.
Todd McFarlane has a chance to do the funniest thing ever, okay? Kevin, can you believe these words are coming out of my mouth? I want Todd McFarlane to purchase Miracle Man and Angela back from Marvel. What world do we live in where I want Todd McFarlane, after all this, to once again control Miracle Man? How have we arrived?
Once again, that implies that he controlled it before instead of getting hustled at that auction.
Why is the series cursed? Alan Moore can come back. Alan Moore can finish it. That's all great.
You know what? years ago, I'm talking about like maybe 15, 20 years ago, there was a book about the history of Miracle Man written titled The Poison Chalice, meaning like everyone who drinks from this cup dies. And it was about how the series is cursed. Eclipse, out of business. Everything that happened and
the lawsuit,
on it goes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm laughing. The whole situation in the game is terrible.
We're laughing about the comics fallout from it.
You're laughing right. We're laughing about the right. I want to make I'm not making light of the situation. With this sort of thing, look, if you don't care about his books and you never liked them, that's fine. I know people that are huge Harry Potter. I'll always go back to Harry Potter. It's not quite the same, but it's similar. I have some friends that are massive Harry Potter fans, and they've broken this line in their head of, well, J.K. Rowling is this person over here. Harry Potter is this thing that exists. I can't not love the thing I love, but I do not support the person behind it, right? I mean, I can't. Brock has multiple Sandman tattoos. I have a collection of everything ever.
Oh man, I thought this was going elsewhere right now. I thought you were going to reveal something about yourself that I had no idea.
I got Sandman tattoos. They're just hidden. Yeah.
Ryan has a big back tattoo of Neil Gaiman's face. Now that's going to be
that's a little bit harder.
It's going to be a little awkward going forward.
Yeah. I mean, I had that. I definitely. I mean, I own at least one T-shirt with Ethan Van Sciver artwork on it. I did have that Comic Legal Defense Fund shirt from years ago that had Gaiman right in the center of it, right? I mean, it was a Sandman thing. It was him. So I don't have that shirt anymore, but it is. It's just don't have heroes, right?
Look,
the work's the work.
Everybody can make their own decision on this kind of stuff. My attitude is you own the Sandman books or the T-shirts or Coraline or the Graveyard Book or whatever it is that a particular person owns. You already paid for that stuff. Neil Gaiman is not getting consistently paid while you own it. It's the money's already gone. So if you like the work of art, keep the work of art. Yeah. That's my attitude. I mean, he's not benefiting from you anymore. That's already over.
Correct. Right.
So why throw away your Harry Potter books because you don't like J.K. Rowling? They give you pleasure and joy. Keep them.
Yeah.
It's not hurting her to throw them away.
Right. And if it doesn't give you joy anymore, then yes, then definitely. You can get rid of them, right? Yeah. I just divorce the person from the work. And I like all sorts of musicians, and I'm sure many of them are very bad people, and all sorts of actors that are probably not great people, but it's when things like this happen, if you want to, you can disconnect. Leanne doesn't care if I say this, right? I mean, Leanne's like, I just can't listen to Michael Jackson anymore. She's like, I just can't. I can't listen to anything he does. And I'm like, that sucks. Michael Jackson's amazing. I mean, the music's amazing. Person probably was, seems like he was an extremely troubled person that made a lot of really bad decisions and was probably not in control of a lot of his own life. Is a really screwed up individual.
I think that a comparison to Gaiman that reminds me that I would make would be Bill Cosby. I mean, Bill Cosby's stand-up is amazing and groundbreaking and revolutionary. I think the difference with Michael Jackson and stuff like that is that's directly the person. Whereas with Gaiman, it's filtered through all these other co-creators and it's not, you're not like watching Neil Gaiman on your television directly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
There's layers of buffer between the writer and ultimately what most of these products are.
Oh, and that's what I said, right, about being, I'm sad for everyone else involved in these from from all the other creators. And Sandman is him, but it's so many other people, so many. It's not, Sandman's nothing without all the artists. It's nothing without Dave McKeon. It's just not the same thing, right? So, I don't expect, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately. I mean, the whole situation sucks. I'm not expecting we'll see much more from him. Warren Ellis has been in a somewhat similar situation, not quite as severe, but he's been removed from pretty much the comic industry and his Hollywood projects and everything. Don't know where that's going to end up. I don't think the accusations are quite as severe on his end, but that's been that's been an ongoing thing for quite a number of years. And this will go on, and there'll be other people. So, it's not great. Yeah. If there's more news, we'll talk about it if it happens. Maybe lawsuits, maybe Sandman season 2 actually happens. This is no news, nothing. Netflix is supposed to have their like yearly ta-dum thing, right? That's like their ta-dum,
the ta-dum,
right? That's what they call it, right there. That's their yearly, like, here's everything coming up. I wonder if they'll even talk about Sandman. They might just drop it.
Well, I think that big question comes with what does DC do next? Like, what do they do with like the Sandman comics? Do they just
can they actually do anything?
Let them? Do they just let them go out of print?
That's what I was asking, and I really hope not.
Like,
I don't know the agreement or the arrangement. So, as I understand it, kind of like from a overhead, is they're DC characters, but he kind of has kind of final say. Kind of like he has to have I have to kind of sign off on this stuff. So but I would think that he might just you do whatever you want, and I'm relinquishing my rights to it. I think they could. It's not like it would revert to him if it went out of print. It's still a DC thing. They still own all the copyrights and everything, but he has like a level of oversight on it. Now, it's possible there's some breach of contract or there is a breach in his contract about conduct that could nullify any agreement that he has with DC. That's a pretty common thing these days. So maybe DC's fully in the right to do whatever the hell they want. They never need to write him another check. I don't know. I mean, I think it's for the lawyers and time. So they'll figure something out. But I don't think you're going to see too much Sandman merch or Books of Magic or any of that stuff for a little while until they figure out what they want to do. Which again,
all that stuff, right?
yeah, sure. I have everything that's already been made. So, which the Dreaming series were pretty good. That last Hellblazer series, fucking incredible.
The Cy Spurrier one? No.
Yeah.
Did he write that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sandman's all over it. Yeah. Morpheus is Daniel's like all over that series. So it's all about chasing his grain of sand. So, or one of the grains of sand. I really hope that's not the end of the character.
Was that the Black Label book or the regular book?
The Black Label, yeah, the new one. Yeah. Because he's done two, right? It's Dead in America. It's fantastic. So it's somehow still January. How is it January still?
So you remember how COVID felt like 5 years?
Yeah, maybe there'll be a pandemic. Maybe this bird flu will start killing millions of people pretty soon. That'll get our mind on something else.
No, but we're screwed because we're out of the WHO.
I mean, we're screwed for lots of reasons. That's one of many.
One of them. One of many. I don't want to get on a plane right now.
Yeah.
Well, so Miracle Man: The Dark Age will go back on the New Year's poll.
By the time, so when does Miracle Man become public domain? That's the question we have to ask. And then we can write,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can we write Marvel Man: The Dark Age?
Bucky's drawing it right now as we speak.
Based off the actual Marvel Man version.
Yeah.
Maybe that's in public domain, and we can do that.
So, but you can't use can't use anything that wasn't in those original strips. So we are relying only on that 50s, like those children's comics from the 50s, to complete this saga.
I'm going to make a horror movie about Marvel Man. Okay, that's
at Disneyland.
That's yeah.
That's just a documentary of its legal battles.
Kevin, do you have any bright to pierce this evil darkness? Do you have any bright lights to shine in here? Get us out of this funk. Give us some hope for the future.
Well, I don't.
Not for the future, but he went somewhere. Can we talk about
that? I know.
So that's the past. Hope from the past.
News? Yeah, but yeah, that's
I can
fine.
do this.
Something
this
good.
is short. I can do it short. I went to Orlando to the original Art Expo. This is year 2 of the show. For those who forgot or never heard the other episode, or just as a reminder, this is basically, imagine a comic con if the entire con is just Artist Alley. So it's held at a hotel. So you're staying at the hotel where the convention is held. Super convenient. Highly recommended at like 1/10 the price of San Diego. But basically it's a giant, like the hotel conference room is the Artist Alley. And then they have these side galleries. So you go down the hall. So you know how hotels have smaller conference rooms, maybe that would seat like 100 people instead of, 1,000. So those are being used for these galleries. So this year they have a gallery of Marvel trading card art, like the original paintings from the Marvel trading cards. Then another room is the Greg Hildebrandt Memorial. Then another room is like vintage science fiction book cover paintings. Then they had a super cool one this year I think it's called Collection in Black, which is like all this original art from the first appearance of famous Black comic characters like Luke Cage, T'Challa, Jon Stewart, Brother Voodoo, not quite at the level of those others, but you know what I mean? Like, so there's all these pages and covers, they have a page from the first FF comic with Black Panther, which was very cool to see. And modern stuff too, like Bitter Root, for example. So yeah, there's a lot to wander around and just look at. And then the main show is one-on-one time with artists. And there were a lot of dealers there this year who sell original comic art. Also, super chill show, super social, and everybody's friendly. And you can talk to the artists, you can talk to other collectors. There's no huge. The longest line I waited in was like 10 minutes, and that was 2 people ahead of me. Was how long that line was. And it's the same thing last year where when I went the first year, my thought was, do I want to really fly literally cross country for 3 days? And it was so fun last year that I did it again. And it was equally fun this year. Almost stress-free, if you can imagine such a thing. Almost zero stress. And I had achieved legend status this year. So Friday night is a opening night reception with all of the talent who's there and all the guests. And they cap the guest list. So the tickets are a little more expensive because there's a capped number of people who can be there because they don't want to just fill the hall with flippers. So Friday night's a big party. Saturday and Sunday are the show itself. And then it's over on Sunday. But anyway, as of Sunday afternoon, I had achieved legend status because I had spent a grand total of $50 at the show. Whereas other people, like other guys who I know from the Bay Area and such, were like have blown deep into the 4 figures past their budgets. And so I was saying to everybody, I don't know if me saying I've spent 50 is a brag or something to be ashamed of at this con. And everybody to a man went, it's a brag. Savor it. Now that total didn't hold. I'm just saying, as of halfway through Sunday, that's what the total was. But yeah, as a kickoff show for the year, wonderful.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice.
So is that it?
So
no.
Toby already knows the answer to this. I have a want list of certain pages that I'm looking for. So I'm still going to have my radar up for those pages. I am not adding anything new to the want list, and I'm retiring from the commission game after potentially one more piece that's going to be my grand finale.
One for the road.
One, yes, that grew out of this show. But I'm not adding anything new. I'm just going to be looking for things.
Are you going to actual retired, or are you going to be retired like I have been retired?
I'm going to be retired except for the things I'm already looking for. Nothing new.
All right. Because, I mean, I like my retirement. I've been pretty happy with my collection, but every now and then I'll get a piece.
Yeah, that's probably, yes. Well, my retirement's probably like yours then.
Okay.
Every now and then, yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, as a first kickoff show for the year, if you're not interested in original comic art, it's really not worth going because there's no like dealers selling comic books. It's dealers selling original art pages. Now, there's some guys who have certain art books and stuff like that. That's what I was spending my money on. But it is an artist alley, and you can sit or stand. It's a carpeted show floor, by the way, which is amazing. You don't realize how good of life that is until you don't have it. But you could just stand and talk to these artists because there's not a crowd breathing down your neck or people trying to jostle in there to get CGC books and stuff like that. It's just so relaxed and fun. Loved it.
I mean, is it worth just if you just want to wander, right? If you're just like, I just like looking at the art, taking photos.
I wouldn't tell somebody to fly cross country to do that, but like if you're in Florida already, it's definitely worth. It's definitely worth doing that. Yeah.
Sometimes just seeing the arts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool enough.
Yeah, and then they have an auction on Saturday night. And so I think they had like 75 pieces in the auction. So basically everyone so there's like 70 guests, artists. So everybody contributed something to the auction.
Nice.
Did you add to your book?
Cool. No, I'd already gotten everybody.
Ah.
Yeah, I did not. The first con I have not taken the DC book to in like 5 years.
I think you got enough. You got new people. Like it's like it could be too many of the older crew you need. So.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a bright spot from the past. Yes.
Nice. Well, conventions exist. Conventions will still go on. And hey, even if the entire comic industry goes away, I mean, there's still all the old comics ever made. So, you can just read all those and go to conventions and buy old stuff. And it's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. One fun thing at the OAX show is that they give in your swag bag, you get blank sketch cards, a little pack of blank sketch cards. Cause then they have a thing on Sunday afternoon for an hour and a half on Sunday afternoon. Most of the artists draw for free, like old school con, like where you go up and get a free doodle. So you don't have to use the sketch cards for it. They just give them to you so you can have an easy way to collect all your free drawings. And that's just such a fun thing. Even if you're not super into that kind of thing, it just reminds me of like being at conventions 20 years ago, or actually more than that, probably 30, where it's just a doodle is just free, or maybe it's $5, $10, stuff like that. Yeah.
Pretty uncommon these days. Yeah. All right. So, we will, we'll continue updating in Diamond as it goes on. Neil Gaiman, if there's more info.
God, please no.
I got a lot to talk about. We'll save stuff for next week and some good stuff for next time. We'll have, happy, positive stuff to talk about.
Do we have a movie to talk about soon?
I was going to say, our next step. No, it'll be after that. Yeah. Next episode that we'll record will still be before Captain America 4. We'll talk about that.
No, you got the wrong movie. That's not.
What movie?
It's Paddington Bears 3.
Leanne just watched Paddington 1 and 2. She said they were fine.
They were fine?
Yeah. She said they were good.
They were...
Yeah, I understand that people think the Paddington movies are the greatest movies that ever been filmed in cinematic history.
Hold on. No, take the think out of that thing, because they are.
I understand this is an opinion people have. Yes.
Oh my god! You know what?
I'm sure they're perfectly wonderful children's movies.
I'm gonna kill you.
I know this is an opinion people have. Yes, I acknowledge what you were saying.
They made a whole nother movie just for the love of Paddington Bear 2 with Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal. That entire movie is just the hype of Paddington Bear 2.
I think it's just Paddington and no bear.
Well, screw you, because your opinion sucks anyways.
I'm not saying anything bad about Paddington. I am telling you, Liam thought it was good, and it is a very common opinion that I've heard from lots of people that they are the best movies that have ever been made.
It is.
I did not say anything else.
It is.
I have not personally seen them.
Paddington in Peru is a far better bet than Falcon 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it's called.
Yeah, you can let me know. Maybe it is.
I will.
Yeah, we could put movies on the Paddington scale. If Paddington is a 100%, where does this movie rank below Paddington? Okay, that's going to be the new scale.
How much
the Paddington scale
will be? How much Paddington it will be?
Yeah.
All right.
A percent of Paddington, because Paddington is perfect.
That means, though, right?
And so you need levels below that, right? So 1 to 99.
But that means below. You know what that means, though, is all you guys need to go watch Paddington with me.
I think I've seen the first one.
Is the new one out? Did it come out?
No, it's coming out the same day.
Oh, as Falcon or as
Paddington Cap again. We're gonna have Paddington Cap.
Yeah,
it'll be a Barbageddon thing.
Captington,
yeah, Cappington or something.
Yeah,
there you go. They're gonna try to get any reason that people go to the movies.
Paddington Bear, dude, it's awesome.
People still go to the movies?
Toby goes to the movies 3 times a week.
Not quite.
That's just so he can take a nap.
Yeah, he sees a quarter of a movie, then goes back and sees it again, goes back and sees it again.
Toby, did you go see Craven?
No.
Where do you rank Craven on the Paddington scale?
Mainly because I forgot about that movie. I was planning to watch it, but then I forgot about it.
Oh, that's a Craven the Hunter box office.
Be sure to count our $50 for 2 tickets in that.
What did Craven do at the box office? Domestic?
I didn't realize that Craven was.
Did it do better than Madam Web?
I didn't realize Craven was Quicksilver.
What?
Okay, if no one looked it up, domestic. What did Craven do domestic? What do you think it did?
5 million
total.
125 million.
125 domestic.
I'm going to say,
yeah. And Toby says 5 million.
Yeah. Okay, I'm
Price is Right rules here.
I'm going to go with.
So Price is Right, baby.
I'm going to go with
no
50
at all
50
about
domestic.
the Craven. There's
$50
There's not even
$50
domestic.
$50. Okay.
I know it made that much.
Lane's the Price is Right contestant bidding $1.
Right, $1. Right. Domestic $24.8 million.
Oh.
Now, a lot of times, really bad movies do much better internationally. Yeah. So, what was the international total? Do you think
11?
Okay, so over twice the domestic gross. That's what Toby's guess is. What's Craven's international total? I mean, this is every other country except America.
Man. I'm going to go with what was it the US 20?
24. Yeah, it was in Bulgaria. It was in Croatia. It was in the Czech Republic.
I'm going to say it did 40.
40 international? Okay. Brock?
35.
Okay, 35. Okay.
Lane's doing $1.
I was doing $35, but sure. I'm gonna say 0 because Kevin and Ryan did not go watch internationally.
A 36 million international
for got it.
Worldwide total of 61.5 million. 61.5 million, very bad.
How much? What's the budget? Does it say?
More than that. What did Madam Web end up at? Let's see. Madam Web did.
Making me look it up myself.
Here. I'm looking it up here. Hold on.
Such great radio.
Madam Web did 43 domestic, and I don't know why it won't give me the.
Oh, it's a common question. The film was a box office bomb, grossing $61.5 million worldwide on a budget of $110 to $130 million.
Yeah. No, it did real bad. For some reason, I don't have an international total for Madam Web. But yeah, it did significantly worse than Madam Web domestically. Did half Madam Web's number domestically.
And thus, the bow and exiting stage left for the Sony Spider-Verse. It's been quite a ride.
Baby. It's done.
It was definitely a last ride.
Oh, here we go. Madam Web did 43 million domestic, 56 international, so it did 100 mil. Yeah. When you're doing half Madam Web numbers, that's pretty bad.
Remember when they announced this movie and we were all like, "Why are you doing this?"
And Madam Web and
hey man, I'm still waiting for my black and silver movie, man. If you're gonna make fucking garbage movies, you might as well fucking make the garbage movie. And yeah.
Well, speaking of making garbage, we're going to wrap this podcast up. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thanks to Edward at geekyvillain.com, Joe Duff, Kelsey May, Craig Anderson at the Executive Evolution Podcast, and Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast. Thanks for your continued support. Patreon.com/comicconspiracy. You can go to comicsconspiracy.biz, purchase some books on there for pickup or mail order, and go check out meanwhileanthology.com, where we have some info about the anthology released back in 2023 for the store's 30th anniversary. You can also purchase copies of that from Comics Conspiracy.
Sequel in 2025.
Go to conspiratedbrock.com. That's Brock's website. No, done.
No.
Over.
Done.
Go follow Brock on
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
On what's Blue Sky's TikTok called? I forget what they call it.
Yeah.
Open.
TikTok?
It's like Open Window or something like that. I don't remember what
They
they're calling it. I don't know. Wonders of the Fourth Dimension. That's Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. You can go check that out. Kevin has the Between the Panels at fanbasepress.com. It's a interview series. And a page I love on Comic Art Live on YouTube. And my wife Leanne is at leannehill.com.
Oh, hell no.
You see her artwork there.
Not until she likes and thinks Paddington Bear are the best movies of all time.
Do you think Paddington Bear is the best movies of all time?
It's not called Paddington Bear.
Toby wants to know if you think Paddington Bear is the best movies of all time.
It was good. It's not one of my favorite movies of all time, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah, she enjoyed it.
And the podcast. And the this world.
Head over to Blue Sky. That's a website that exists. I'm Ryan Higgins on there. Brock Sager, Toby's Toby XI, Kevin's at Kevin Sharp, and Geekbox.
Because I deactivated my Twitter.
You actually deactivated it. Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I pulled the.
What about Best Basement? Is that still active?
I think that's just Discord,
Basement?
Isn't it?
No, that was the Twitter account. Remember?
That one.
Backup?
I think that was. I got two. I think I have two. I need to deactivate. I forgot about that.
Is that your backup? Where's my Roy Flips? Is that gone? I think that's gone too.
What about Just Comic News Twitter account? Is that still?
Pretty sure that's done.
What about Bags and Boards? Comic Conspiracy Bags and Boards account.
Oh yeah. Yep. We're all on Blue Sky now. Blue Skies. All right, everyone. Sorry the podcast up a little bit late, but I appreciate you, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.